Good morning. Welcome to Morning Moments. I am so glad that you took the time to be with us today. Today, I have another actor. I know I have lots of actors on, and God's blessed me so much to get actors and actresses. Jeff Moore has been an actor in several films, and we could talk about that, some of the films he's been in and things that he's done. But here's a man that loves the Lord, and I've been privileged to be able to get a chance to meet him and so glad to bring to the show, Jeff Moore. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Andy. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
I think I counted 24, 25 mutual friends that I've interviewed. And so we have a lot of folks in common. We were just talking about some of the names of people that we know. Let me ask you this question I ask everybody. What do you do and why do you do it?
Well, first and foremost, I'm a Christian. I'm a father of 4 children. I'm a husband, and I'm a friend. If you would have asked me that same question 12 or more years ago, though, I wouldn't have started with any of those things. I probably would have started with the usual answer that it seems like so many of us or so many folks do, which is to talk about their occupation. And I've been through a number of a bit of a diverse career background. I was prior Navy in submarines, a missile technician. After grad school, I became a submarine officer, 13 years of driving submarines, and then I moved on to the education field where I was for another 13. And then late in life, got into acting, became a believer, and my path has just really kind of diverged, and it's actually been quite an interesting roller coaster. Sometimes scary, most of the time not, but always exciting.
You know, quite often when people talk about, well, after I got saved, then it got very interesting. You know, God doesn't say that salvation is going to change your pathway and make everything wonderful. It just gets really interesting afterwards, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and it's something that I had been searching for my entire life. You know, this hole that just wasn't there. And July 4th, 2010, I walked into a church on Independence Day and gave my life to Christ. And I've had a number of experiences that have happened since that if I did not have that foundation, I can honestly say I don't think I would have made it.
Yeah.
There's just it's just been that challenging that if I didn't have that bedrock foundation, I don't think I would have made it.
You know, I still am learning about what happened when I asked Christ in my heart. And it's been 58, 59 years ago since I did, but I'm still learning what happened that day and how, again, I don't know how my life would have been without him because I've, all my life. So,
Right.
yeah.
And I mean, I know I shared with you how I had previously gone through a divorce and, as a result of that, ended up in church, only to a year or two later have a business failure that was quite a big deal. A lot of people impacted, government funding cut off and so forth. And it was the most maybe not the most moving in a positive way experience, but the most challenging experience that I'd ever been through in my life. I mean, and it was a point when I started looking at just every possibility that was out there and having a new perspective on my life and what I enjoyed doing, which when I began serving in the church, I just really found tremendous satisfaction in that. And it just kind of reinforced, wow, this is what I love to do. How come it took me so long to find this? And honestly, it didn't matter what I was doing, but just serving and helping others. So when you say, well, what do I do? I mean, to me, that is just kind of a general statement, but it's one of the most amazing things I think any of us can do.
So you went into acting and you're portraying stories and people. Tell me about
Yeah.
that a little bit.
Well, I mean, as you know, I've done some faith-based films, the kind of Hallmark Channel,
Yep.
type of stories. Um, but I've also done some films that are not so easy, or I shouldn't say easy. It's not that they're easy, but not so easy to watch, not so easy to hear the story because, they're not necessarily a happy story. But the thing, and I struggled with this and looking at this film Smack that I worked on recently, it is a dark story. It's about drug addiction and it's about love. And I thought, well, I mean, there are some people that think that demonstrating evil behavior, drug abuse, is inherently bad. But what I felt was that there's a difference between portraying behavior and promoting it. And we were not promoting it. It was a dark storyline. I felt that it had the potential to educate people about the evils of drug use and addiction and how it can destroy lives. Watching this couple's life just fall apart, which is hard to read, hard to watch, hard to act, emotionally draining, especially for the lead actors in that story that just had so many very emotional scenes. But in the end, I felt that there was a tremendous positive message that we can learn from this film.
Yeah, as a retired psychiatric nurse, I have experienced so much of seeing the effects of addiction, drug and alcohol,
Mhm.
and the devastating effects of it over the individual and the families and all people that surrounds it. Uh, it's a tremendous tragedy that takes place in lives and families.
Absolutely.
So, I've heard a lot of folks too who say, "Well, I've done faith-based films and others, and other films like yourself, but it doesn't matter what you do sometimes, as much on the screen, as long as it's within your comfort level and what you feel God has had for you to do. But sometimes that behind the scenes, you get to be a chance to be a witness too to so many people."
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, because on faith-based films, you're primarily working with people who are, you know, have a, have, have faith, and
Yeah.
uh, in this film, you have quite a range of folks and backgrounds and so forth. And like I said, I wasn't a believer until late in life, and I thought, that whole Christian thing, that's just a, whatever. I'm not like. um, so I think any experience we have, it's always an opportunity to share the love of Christ. I mean, even just this last weekend, my wife and I were in New York and just traveling and going into a restaurant, and the server that we had on one particular day, you could just see when she showed up, she was trying to put the smile on, but struggling a little bit to do it. And, so just like be just super kind, and genuinely kind, and loving. And, in the end, it just ended up really like lightening her up, and she,
Yeah.
relaxed. But we just never know, who we're going
No.
to run into, where they are in their lives anytime. I mean, a grocery store, wherever, and just, you could be that one person that just really makes someone's day, but with one small comment.
Right. And it
It's
doesn't.
amazing.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be, oh, while I was preaching to him and I told him what John 3:16 means, and I told him how and it's not necessarily the what you say, it's just the lifting up and being just an encouragement. Sometimes that's
Yeah.
exactly what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most people don't like to be told what to do. Like,
No.
hey, go read the Bible, go, and act this way, or behave this way, and da, da, da.
Yeah.
But tell them who they are. Just show them the love of Christ, and I think that helps them to come around to it.
I just said this in the interview. So some folks are watching interviews after interviews. You'll say, I heard Andy say this before, but I'm going to say it again. One of the things that my wife and I love to do when we go into restaurants, we don't do it all the time, but quite often we'll go when the waitress or server says, "Is there anything else I could do for you?" We'll say, I'm getting ready to pray for my food. is there anything I could pray for you about? Oh,
That's amazing. Yeah.
what a wonderful, it has opened so many doors. And if they say, you know what, and they say, no, no, you don't need to pray for me. Well, it's too late. I'm going to pray for you anyway. I don't care. Can't stop me from praying for you. So you know, but it's a great door to open. So you ought to try that sometime as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, Jeff, thank you so much. I'm gonna for being on Morning Moments. I'm gonna put down on the comment section the movies you've been in, the movies you're going to do, and the projects you're working on, so people can follow your career. I want to thank you for just allowing God to help you with this journey. You know that when you come to Christ later in life, there is that journey that you take, and
Mhm.
the best is yet to come, let me tell you. And God's got some great and wonderful things for you as you continue to serve and be a servant of God in everything you do, not only church but film, and but as a husband and as a father too. I'm going to ask my audience to take the time right now, and even after this interview is over, uh, you may need to pass this interview on to somebody else and share it on your site, or say, hey, I know somebody that needs to hear the Jeff Moore interview. But I want you to stop after this interview is over and take the time to pray for Jeff Moore and his family, that God would continue to bless him. He needs your prayer more than you ever know. He needs your prayer, and you need the practice. So go ahead and pray for Jeff today, and he and I will appreciate it. Jeff, thank you for so much for being on Morning Moments.
Andy, thank you. It was such a pleasure. And I just want to thank you so much for this show and the way that you're impacting others. It's just fantastic.
Thank you. And I just about forgot to say this. Thank you for your service in the Navy too. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right.
It's an honor.
God bless you, and keep coming back for some more Morning Moments.